What's up, football-loving maniacs? Time for another edition of Three Honest Lads. I changed my gear. I didn't change the background. I got a new friend. I got rid of Mike Watts. John Hackworth is gone. Tyler Terrence, we shipped him out of here. The most important thing is, I always forget when I point at the windows, we're just going to go like this. That way I can't get it wrong. Whichever side of the computer he's on, Rob Kiernan. You can pronounce it a bunch of different ways. Roberto Samuela Kiernan. I just go Rob Kiernan. Right now, you know him as a fantastic center back for Orange County. But there is so much to this man that doesn't meet the eye, that you haven't heard from before, and we would love the opportunity to dive into the psyche that is Rob Kiernan. So I'm going to step aside because y'all don't want to hear about me. Rob, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you for that introduction. That's been the best one I've ever had. So thank you for having me.
Well, the good thing is I actually wrote the whole thing down, but I crossed it all out.
Oh, so it was scripted.
So
yeah.
It was off the head. It was off the dome. Off the dome.
Yeah. I thought it was off the cuff, but it's been propped.
You got to do what you got to do, right? All right. So Rob, let's start with this. Just a little fun. Middle name, Samuel.
Samuel.
Family name?
That's the father's name, so that got passed down, and that might get passed down if I have a little young sprog one day. So you never know.
Love that. You may have one. You just don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean there could be one floating around. But who knows?
All right, so let's start with let's go to the youth career. Watford, if I'm not mistaken, Watford youth career, first team appearances for sure, couple of loanee spells, but let's talk about. So I actually have never heard, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I will say that right off the bat. I'm really good with accents and pronunciations, but when it comes to this town, is it Rickmansworth?
Rickmansworth, yes.
Rickmansworth. Yeah. Tell people in England.
Okay, so life little story here, guys. Listen, I was born in Watford General Hospital. I was born overlooking the stadium. So actually, my mum gave birth, and the window actually was looking onto the stadium. So that's been born in my blood. I'm WD boy through and through. Lived in a place called Rickmansworth, which is just 5 minutes down the road. And then, my football career started there. So I joined Watford at the age of 6. But at the time, there was only an under-10s team. So there wasn't anything below that. So I was playing sort of 4 years up. And, I was a little scrawny little boy that was trying to just kick a ball around. But they saw a bit of potential in me. And I managed to work my way up through the academy. I managed to get a pro contract at 14, which was for quite young at the age. Had a lot of filling out to do. I was very, very small in terms of physique and physical attributes. Then managed to get a debut under Brendan Rodgers, who was an incredible manager. He made me feel something special at times. And the detail and stuff was insane, and that's why he's one of the best to do it. So then I had 2 appearances for the club, and then I got an opportunity to go and join Wigan Athletic, who at the time were a Premier League club, and under a manager called Roberto Martinez, and that was really good for my development.
I've heard of him, by the way.
It was he actually won the FA Cup with Wigan, and he manages the Belgium national team, so he's a very good manager as well. And from there, I was never good enough. I was never good for the first team. I knew that. I was 19 years old. But it was all about development. So, I knocked on the door umpteen times and I said, Gaffer, look, just let me go on loan, let me go and play somewhere. I'm desperate just to go and get a few first team games, and that's what I did. And as a centre back, as I'm sure you're aware, it's not a position that you normally get subbed on for 10 minutes just to get us, just a bit of feel for it. It's a position where your older experienced boys are always going to play, So it was a case of, where can I go and play? Where can I get some minutes? Where can I go and make my mistakes and learn and be a man, So that was my sort of route. And then I eventually got my chance at Wigan when they were in the Championship. Managed to establish myself, and I did really well, actually. And the funny thing about football is my debut for them was against Watford, and I managed to get a man of the match, and it was quite a nice moment. So it was I started my real career, if you like, at a high level. And then, as football goes, mate, managers come in, your opinions change, and, you're out the door. So I found myself on loan to Birmingham, who were another Championship team. I played every game for them, and they offered me a contract to go and sign for them the following season. And there's a bit of honesty and a bit of truth right now. I was on the way to sign for them, and I got a phone call from Rangers. And they said, look, whatever the contract is there, we'll match. And it was pulled over in a lay-by with my dad for half an hour, and we made a decision to go up and try Scotland. And it was a massive move for me, to be honest. So That was the heydays, if you like, you know.
I want to step back for a sec because there's a lot to digest there, and I'm with all of it, by the way. From a personal standpoint, and you and I have never met in person. This is our experience together. From a personal standpoint, the only player that I've ever met to start at his youth career, almost the youngest level, and move his way up through an academy, make his way through the system, and go to the first team is Peter Remich from Newcastle United.
Yep.
That's the only player that I've ever had that experience with. Now, I have friends that I played with in college that came up through the Liverpool youth system, the reserves, never made it to the first team. Conversely, I had boys that left the States, went overseas, got picked up at, 18s or 19s, got to the reserves, maybe a first team appearance, and that's it, but never all the way through.
Yeah.
Can you describe for your hometown club what it's like as a young boy to move your way through that system and make it all the way to the first team?
I was obsessed. With this vision and this. It was my dream, and I can only imagine if you're Watford at the time. No disrespect, it wasn't a Premier League club. It was a Championship club that was very good, and it had been up and down the Premier League a few times, but it wasn't established. However, for me, it was just like, I strangled the life out of it. I wanted it so much that to actually finally do it and see my mum and dad in the stands while I'm getting my debut it's something that I'll never forget, because it's just the hard work that you put into something. It's like, I'm talking like, it was 12, 13 years it took me to get to that stage from when I was a 6-year-old boy, so it's a feeling of pride, and it's tough. It's blood, sweat and tears, like we all say. It's rejection. It's you're not good enough. You're too small. It's crying in the car on the way home with your dad because you've not played well, and he's roasting you because he drove 4 hours to go and to drop you off to a game. So it's all those emotions into one, and it's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
You bridged the gap for us from basically the start of your career all the way to Rangers, and I'm going to stop there for a second. Go back through. Leave the managers out of it for a second, because you've mentioned a few, but we'll get to that in a second. Go back from your time at Watford, as you mentioned, just a couple appearances there for the first team, but you did rep, and then being on loan for quite a few teams. Like you said, you want to play, and I've been in your situation. Like you get to a team and you don't want to sit around and you don't want to waste away, but at the same point in time, you want to prove yourself. And sometimes the most important thing is proving yourself, even if it's away from your parent club. And you go somewhere and you say, listen, I'm not being used. That's fine. Take a look at me. Look what I can do here. Look at the competition and get all that done. In your time on loan, was there a certain situation, a certain team, a certain time frame that sticks out to you in your mind that maybe turned the corner for you with other teams or other managers that gave you a better look?
Tell you a funny story. So I went up to Kilmarnock. I was a young boy. There was three things that stuck out for me there, and that was when I realised, this isn't a game anymore. First one, debut against Robbie Keane for Celtic. I'll come on. I told the manager, he looks at the bench, he said, have you ever played right back, son? I said, yeah, I've played there loads of times. Never played there in my life. Just desperate to get on the pitch. I go on, I'm all over the place. My position is nice. It's all over the shop. Gets in and after, and he's like, listen, son, are you sure you played there? Your position wasn't great. I said, to be honest, Gaffer, I've never played there in my life. I was just desperate to get on, and he fined me. He fined me 500 quid.
Did you give up a goal?
No, we actually drew the game, which was a good result against Celtic. So I didn't do too badly, but I'm a kid. I'm desperate just to get on the pitch.
Of course.
I was laughing my teeth. But no, from there, yes, and I was in a man's world then, and I had a battle in training. I was, but boys were just too big, too strong for me at that point. But you learn, and I say to all the young boys up and down the country, no matter what level you're playing at, listen, I appreciate that all the facilities and the stuff that you're doing in your parent clubs is great, and you're getting the best training and that. But guys, listen, no one's judging you on that. Under 21 football, under 19 football, even under 23 football, they've made a new league now, and it's just like you haven't got a crowd, you haven't got points on the line, you haven't got people's livelihoods on the line. Unless you're doing that week in, week out, you're not growing. You're in a comfort zone, and you're a prospect at that point.
Yeah. You can learn a system. You can learn a system, but the competition's not there.
You got to go out and do it. You got to go and do it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. How about stepping even further? Like when you look at, you have a favorite club that you loaned for? I mean, Southend you ended up playing for, of course. But
I went to Brentford on loan, who were a London team, and team spirit was insane, and I knew a lot of the staff there from Watford, and yeah, I loved it there. I loved it.
Because
The team spirit, the animal in everyone that was just like, we're the underdogs, but we're going to go out there, and we actually nearly got promoted that season. And I just loved the team spirit to it. That's all I can say. It was such a tight-knit group, and it was, I say it all the time, you know, that gives you another 10-15% once the boys have knit together and they're tight and they're strong as a bond, you know, that it's another little dynamic to the team, you know.
So we've reached the point in our interview that we've decided, 3 on a Slides, to give our interviews a different look. I didn't make you aware of it, and I do apologize, but I did come on with something a little fun for you because I knew you would enjoy it so much. You know, I know it's an oldie. I know, I get it. What, I'm 2 years old now. Is that okay? And you know what? I don't want to be rude though, because you know you may be in the States, but we Americans, we're not rude. So we're gonna switch it, and that's okay. We're gonna switch it up a little bit.
Nice.
That's
old
fine.
School. I like
That's
it.
fine.
I like
It's
it.
old school. You know, look, we can pop if you want. Don't worry.
Who's on the back? Who's on the back?
That's true in blue, by the way.
Never walk alone. Like it. Who's on the back? Who's on the back?
No, there's only one person that ever went on the back, by the way.
Gerard.
Stevie G.
Yeah.
Although I tell you, I did just pick up. I couldn't bring myself to spend $90 American on the new Nike kit. I was like, I think that's a little excessive for a proper top. Yeah. Regardless, so I went on eBay and I actually just copped a 95, 96 with the Adidas, the three that everybody had. I got the third kit, the white with the black stripes and the like the emerald on the shoulders.
I'm all over it.
It's got Ian Rush on the back, so I'm all about that. That's otherwise the whole closet is Stevie G's.
Yeah, that's a big dog. That's another big name up there for sure.
Oh, that's. I mean, yeah, you were at the club, right? I mean, you were before him, but still, I mean, it's such a name. So,
I remember.
I want to transition here before we go any further in your club career. I would like to know your international background because rep for the Republic of Ireland, and you were talking about Robbie Keane earlier. So, I mean, but you come up basically in Watford. How does that transition to a different country?
Yeah, so my heritage is Irish. My dad is Irish. He was born in a place called Wexford, which is Southern Ireland. And obviously, I got the opportunity to go and play international football. I was desperate to get on the stage. I wasn't getting picked for England. I was not good enough. But Ireland gave me an opportunity, and I managed to captain the team under 19, under 20, under 21 campaign. I never really fulfilled or blossomed at the right time, where I maybe got a chance at the first team. At the time, I thought maybe I had half a sneaky chance, but when you had boys playing in the Premier League week in, week out, it was like it was never going to happen. So I was grateful for the opportunity, and it was a good time, to be honest, and I loved it.
So you just said you never really blossomed. You maybe had a small chance. Is that your opinion, or is that what you were told?
Just my opinion. Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
I think I had boys ahead of me that were better, more experienced, and like I said earlier, centre back's never a position that's, again, you're never really going to get a chance unless there's injuries or suspensions, whatever it might be. But I'm honest with myself. I know that I didn't blossom enough and I didn't reach my potential, and it's quite hard for me to accept that at times. But I'm still proud of what I've done and what I've achieved. So I don't take it too badly.
You seem very capable of surveying your playing environment, your skill set, your experience, your understanding of what you're capable of, but at the same point in time, you've just said it multiple times, like, okay, maybe I wasn't good enough there or here, or didn't get a sniff there by the manager. That being said, that obviously comes with experience and the realization of what your surroundings are. You talked about being thrown in at such a young age. You were around men. Are there any guys coming up from a mentor standpoint that maybe influenced you in a manner to give you that thought process?
So during my career, I had definitely had older pros that I looked up to kind of take me under their wing a little bit and just guide me. And that's what I'm trying to do now with some of these young prospects we've got at the club. One guy that sticks out particular was a guy called Gary Caldwell at Wigan, and he was as captain of Scotland at the time. And, he just took me under his wing, and I just copied him, I just kind of thought, what's he eating? What's he doing in the gym? Like, how's he training? Like, what's his recovery like? Just trying to gauge it. And then, he could have gone the other way and sort of, because I was on his heels and I was desperate to try and get into his shirt position. But, he used to take me off to training and do drills and work on stuff for me, and I loved it. So I'm trying to do a little bit like that to the youngers as well.
There's the Peter Ramage connection. He's a Newcastle boy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Okay, so let's take another step then. You got us all the way to Rangers. Let's go to Rangers. I actually want to talk about, you were saying that you were about to sign with Birmingham and you had to pull over because Rangers gave you an offer. Where did that come from? First off, did you have any idea there was any interest there?
Yeah, so funny story. I was actually on holiday, and my previous manager, Mark Wilburn, he called me and said, "Listen, I'm getting
At
the Rangers job.
Rangers. Yeah.
Getting the Rangers job. You know, it can't be announced yet." And I thought, "Listen, that's a great opportunity for you. And you know, obviously, if you're interested in me, that's great. However, I have this on the table. I've done my medicals. I've done all the heart scans, etc., etc." And it was crunch time, and I was like, okay, until I see something on the table, Mark, it's hard for me to turn down this contract because I'm going to a championship club on a contract. You know, this is my livelihood right now. So I was on the way to go and sign. I got the phone call in the car saying, listen, it's done. Like, I want you to come and sign for me. I pulled over in the lay-by with my dad. We had a coffee. I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. You know, like, I've got two amazing clubs here offering me a contract, but Rangers is a giant, you know, and I don't think I'd ever get an opportunity like that again. So looking back, it was the right decision for me. But this is how football works, you know. You get a phone call and your life changes like that, you know.
No regrets at all.
No, no regrets, and big respect to Birmingham for what they offered me. And the manager, I kind of fell out with at Birmingham because, you know, obviously he kind of sees like I did him dirty. But I just think if you're a football fan in the football world, to get an opportunity to go and play for Rangers is something that's quite rare. So I had to go and do it, you know.
Yeah, there are big clubs and there are icons. There's a difference. And,
You know.
and obviously the Rangers fall into that. I'm curious. Describe what it's like coming from your background, such a heavily influenced English system from a club standpoint. And then you go to Ibrox and you get an opportunity to walk in there into these hollowed grounds of just massive names from a global footballing standpoint. You walk in, like, what were your thoughts and what were your feelings like going there?
Overwhelming. Do you know what the most overwhelming thing is? Is that it sounds so mad, but this is the world we're in. You go there, you do your interviews, you do your stuff. Your social media blew up like you wouldn't believe. You know, I went from having like, I don't know, 9,000 followers on Twitter to 45,000 in like in like 6 days. You know, and like constant media, the constant pressure. But I actually, it kind of, you know, it wasn't an easy start for me. I had a lot of racial death threats from the IRA and all the Irish stuff because obviously the heritage stuff. You're playing for the wrong team. You know, you're Catholic. You know, the religion stuff. You know, it was a lot. You know, it was a lot to deal with, and I didn't really know what I was walking into. So to get like, you know, death threats on Twitter and, you know, people sending you bullet images with my names on it, like it's a lot to deal with. You know, like I'm just coming to play football. You know, so it was quite a lot to take in. But once that all settled down, you know, it was a privilege and an honour to play for such a big club. You know, there was other things as well that didn't go to plan. You know, your house is getting burgled. I got burgled twice. You know, like you're always in the limelight. It's a whole different dynamic as opposed to just playing for football. It's your life. You know.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I just wasn't ready for how the intensity of it was a lot of times. And, you know, you lose a football match and you can't go out your house for a week. The media would hold images of you out and about and then publish it after a loss. You know, they're trying to just get you at all angles. And it's like, you know, that's not the enjoyable part. The enjoyable part is playing and walking out in front of 55,000 people and people screaming. It's amazing. Playing in Old Firm games is amazing. But the other side of it's ugly at times. It is, yeah.
Rob, I talked to you earlier about my admiration for you, and then we talked about some of your mentors, about how you understood your surroundings and maybe you were wiser than your years for sure, but you still understood your place. You said right now with Rangers that, you know, the parts that you didn't enjoy, was that an age thing or just environmental?
I think it's an environmental thing.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't the only one that sort of, and I'm not the only one now. Like even now, like, you know.
No, you could be 30 years old and a Scottish Championship winner, and you're still going to feel the same way.
I just did an interview for James Tavernier, who's the captain of Rangers, who
of course
250th appearance on the weekend, and one of the questions was, you know, do you agree with all the stick that he's getting from the fans? And obviously, like, it's such a big question, but no, I don't, because, you know, you've got someone there who's given the rule for the club. He's captain the side. You know, they're going for the 55, and, you know, you're never going to please every fan, but up there it seems to be like, you know, he does something that concedes a goal or he gives possession away at a critical time or whatever it is, and it's get him out of the club. He's not good enough, you know, and it's that intense pressure. I suppose is a lot to deal with at times, you know. So you've got to be quite thick-skinned at times. So no matter what age you are, I think you're always going to be exposed to it, and it's how you deal with it.
Let me ask you this. It's one thing in my small career, and you and I chatted a little bit briefly before I came on, in my small career that I never had to deal with, because I'll date myself here a little bit. I'm 36 years old. I mean, I'm looking at, the notes that I made on my computer for your career. You started or were signed to your first team contract with Watford in 2008. When your appearance was, I don't know off the top of my head. However, in 2008, I had 1 year left in my career. Social media then is not the animal that it is now. And so it was, hey, I got Facebook. Yo, check out my MySpace page. It's things like that. Like, it's not Twitter where everything's so instantaneous. It's not Instagram, and this is going. I mean, Facebook dates me a little bit as well, because Facebook in the mainstream media isn't something that people go to on a regular basis. So as a professional who's having gone through the transition of all those things and still being in it now, do you look at it at all?
I used to really look at it, and used to kind of affect me, because when you see things that aren't so positive, it's like, oof. But now when I now relay this information to the younger boys coming up, it's, listen, everyone's gonna have their opinion, that's fine. However, we get scrutinized for every single thing you do. Now, if we're in a normal world, do you think people will come into your office and scrutinize you for not typing on the keyboard well enough? It's not that. So now take it with a pinch of salt, because every single person that's giving you abuse or compliments would love to be in your position. They would love to be on that field with their name on the back in front of those fans. So take it a little bit pinch of salt, and make sure that the opinions and the advice that you're getting from the people that matter are the ones you absorb. Because the other ones, everyone's going to have their opinion, and everyone's so quickly to type a few letters in the word and press enter, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know the work. They don't know the ins and outs of everything. So I would definitely say that you need to be thick-skinned, and I think I would definitely advise young boys to maybe switch off from that social media stuff, because it's irrelevant.
Good man. Love the seriousness. Love the advice. I'm going to transition from my wannabe boyhood club. I'm going to get this off. I'll explain who's going to be next. Give me 1 sec.
Go on. Oh, what we got here?
All right. So this is one that you won't know, unfortunately, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So this is Swope Park Rangers. This is a team that is now called Sporting Kansas City 2, which is in the Eastern Conference. They are Sporting Kansas City's reserve team. They're their 2 team. They used to be called Swope Park Rangers. They bounce back and forth. I chose this because I like the name, first of all. I think it's great. I think it's a bounce off of the first team, but something different. More importantly, it was the only orange thing that I had, and I wanted to give you a little bit of homage for Orange County.
Nice.
So this is the closest I could get. Okay, so let's jump. You leave Rangers. Talk to me about, and you head to a club, by the way, in Southend that you had already loaned for, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you end up at Southend United. How does that? How do you end up there, first of all, and what was the transition like going from Rangers to Southend United?
I'm going to be brutally honest. Right now. It's a completely different world. You go from being at a place where a draw is unacceptable to the highest of standards for everything. To a place where obviously the budget's not the same, and it's a different infrastructure. And I found it hard. And to go on top of that, I was out for 18 months there. I just played 1 game, and I was out for 8 months, and my whole career, my whole life was in tatters, and I was just in a bad place. So it was probably the worst bit of my career. However, at the time, I knew that I had a year left on my contract at Rangers, and Rangers, we came to an agreement that Southend would pay half and Rangers would pay half, so I wasn't actually losing anything, in terms of financially. So I was really happy just to go back down south, play football, hopefully shine, and then move on again. And that just completely went out the window. So I find it really tough. And then was in a team that was losing every week. We were just trying to survive as opposed to going for a title or anything. So when you go from Rangers where you're looking to win as opposed to just survive, it's a completely different animal. And it was tough. I'll be honest with you, it was tough. And that's why this opportunity came here. And I just thought, you know what? I'm ready for a lifestyle change. I'm ready to go and really challenge myself in a new environment and see where it takes me.
Two questions on that before we get to Orange County. Number one, I think one answer will probably affect the other, so you can answer them whatever order you want. Number one, were there other alternate opportunities? And number two, do you wish you had taken them?
Yes.
Yeah,
there were more opportunities.
Why Southend United then, from previous experience?
I'll be honest with you, it was an hour from my home, and I've been
Yeah.
away since I've been home for sort of 8-9 years, I think it was, and I was desperate to just to be close to my family and friends, and I kind of felt like that would help me more in football because I'd be happier. However, completely the wrong decision at the time. Yeah, looking back on it, and I did have opportunities to go to better, higher clubs, and I backed myself. I was like, I'll go there and I'll be the best player, and I'll hopefully get some opportunities elsewhere from that. And I kind of use it as like okay, I'm going to go and prove myself again, and it didn't work out. So yeah, I do regret it. Yeah.
Shit happens though, right? I mean, I feel like everything that you've been through your career, you understand that you're a man, you make mistakes. Hindsight's 20/20. You could have also, things could have gone there. You didn't have to go through the 18th month. You could have just ripped shit apart, right? I mean, and then it would have turned out differently. You can only look to the future now, right?
It's life.
Perfect. Well, the good news is you got to go home and figure out whether or not those kids were yours.
And a few little knocks on the doors, yeah. Excuse me, sir.
Hello, good to see you. So let's talk about the transition to the States. Though I can understand the relationship now with Rangers and Orange County and how maybe that came out for you, or excuse me, how maybe that's the connection. You end up at Orange County. Walk me through. You've gone from Rangers to Southend to United, and then you come to the States and specifically Orange County. How does that happen?
So my good friend Harry Forrester, who was playing here, we've known each other since we were kids, and we're best friends, and we've gone through this whole journey together. He was here. I actually came to visit last year. I was on holiday.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, hey, listen, can you speak to the club for me? Like, I'd love an opportunity to come out here, and he did, and they came to watch me against Bolton, and from there we had some interest, and I just tried to make it happen the best way I could, and I had to try and get out my contract at Southend, and it was a little bit messy, but that's how it came about, and I love it over here.
True or false? Harry is a better footballer than you.
Oh, 100%,
yeah. That's not fair. He plays much higher up in the pitch. Like,
listen, he gets all the glory, and I have to sweep up all his mistakes at the back. So
there you go.
But no, he's an incredible player, and he was a shining star when he was 16. He was the hottest thing in the UK at the time, and he's done well throughout his career. And we find ourselves playing our trade in the United States now. So it's not a little bad journey or story,
Let me ask you this. I made this analogy with American football, and I'll give it to you in a second if need be. Did you always play on the back line?
No, I actually played centre midfield when I was younger, but I wasn't going to move back because I was a bit lanky, so I could head it quite well.
Yeah, so it's funny, like in the States. So I started off as a centre mid as well, and then depending on the age, you bounce around a little bit. You get moved here, you get moved there, and I slowly made my way to the back line. I always give the analogy to Americans who don't, and this isn't a bad thing. I'm just trying to make reference to Americans who don't understand the sport. I say it's like taking a kid in middle school or high school who's a wide receiver, a quarterback, or a running back, and eventually becomes a safety or a cornerback or something like that, and they make the transition. And it's actually quite common in global football. People just don't understand it. They think Puyol was a center back for me at the age of 8. Or Sergio Ramos Sergio Ramos scored 9 goals when he was like 7 years old, but all of a sudden he's one of the best, defenders in the world. All right. So you come to Cali, you come to Orange County. Let's have a little fun. Biggest change for you outside of weather?
Being able to surf.
Did you know how to surf before coming here?
No, not a clue. I still don't know how, but I give it a go, and I end up drinking a lot of seawater. But I love it.
Can you boogie board?
I mean, I fall in style, and that's it. That's it. But I enjoy it.
I'll tell you what, and I'm happy to provide this service free of charge. If you need me to negotiate surfing lessons in your next contract, I'm your boy. Tell me that. There's no percentage whatsoever. I can get that right in there on the dotted line. Tell your agent, give me a ring. I'll handle that for you. I got Braden on speed dial.
All right, we got you.
I want to go back through, before we get further into Orange County, because we've made the transition there. I want to go back through some of your managers, tie them into systems, playing styles, things like that, and what that incorporates into the United States. I'm just going to name a few. You mentioned a couple already. Just some of the bigger names, because in the United States, people will probably recognize it. Brendan Rodgers, Roberto Martinez. Recently, Sol Campbell, right, at Southend United?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's Mr. England, right? So, what? Number one, the only person that I've ever had the experience of being managed under like that, and I mentioned you coming on. I played at Hamburg at the HSV Reserves. I got beat to shit on the training surface, and that's about it. And this name was only there in my time for about 4 months. It was Martin Jol before he left for Real Madrid. At that point in time, Martin Jol was the manager. On the pitch with me was Vincent Kompany, Rafael van der Vaart, Nigel de Jong, massive names.
Big boys.
And big boys for sure. And they knew it too. But you're talking about the guys that you've been under, just those names are still massive in world football. How did they all impact you? Playing style, tactics, you name it.
So Brendan Rodgers and Roberto Martinez are very similar. Probably the most detailed. They both will play out. That's their DNA. That's their blueprint. That's what they installed into us, and that kind of suited me a little bit. And then you learn stuff from other guys. Do you know what? It's hard to pinpoint and give you a real answer to this because everyone has their own little
niche.
Yeah, do you know? So you just kind of take and absorb and throw out and get rid of things that you kind of like and you don't like. The only thing that I'll say is that those two names that I mentioned, Brendan and Roberto, were the detail that were going into these things. I mean, they would know every single footballer in the Football League. They know what foot they are. They probably know their star sign and who they're married to. You know, it was that detailed. It was crazy. But like their man management on top of that was also, you know, something that I really take away. And I think the biggest thing right now in being a manager is how you treat your players in terms of a person and as a human, as opposed to just a piece of meat that's in their team. And you know, it's like, you know, you're injured and people don't talk to you, or you know, you get sent off and you're not spoken to for 3 weeks, you know, or something, little things like that. And you know, listen, we're human. Everyone's got emotions, you know. So you know, don't treat people like, you know, a robot, because at times we need a little bit of a human treatment as well, you know. To
contradict that, you can also have managers like that are very detailed, that will give you those little nuances, but at the same point in time, they're not necessarily a player's manager. Are either one of them a player's manager where you feel like they're right there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had Phil Brown at Southend, and he was definitely that type of guy. You know, there's a famous video of him shouting at the lads at half time in the centre circle for Hull. But he was like really amongst it, and he was one of the lads. And you know, even like little things in the pre-season tours, you know, he'd get everyone out and, you know, have a little sing song and karaoke bars, and you know, just to bring that team spirit. And that for me is just so important.
Your favorite karaoke song? Spice Girls?
Yeah, well, you can get out or something like that. You know, it never comes to mind.
What kind of music do you like?
Do you know what? I'm not one of these boring guys that can say I like all types of music. I like a lot of English grime music, and I like. I've actually, do you know what? Since I've been here, you're gonna laugh, but I've gently touched on this country music just because it's on the radio sometimes, and it's just, you know, like when you just sit down and you listen to it and the sunset and you're driving down PCH, for example, it's actually quite good. So,
yeah,
I'm gently easing my way into it.
It suits the atmosphere, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's a reason that, you know, 70% of the country listens to it.
Yeah.
It's not my personal favorite, but when I describe country music to people or they ask me about it, I say I don't love it, but I respect it. Like I think they're good musicians.
I tell my friends at home, and they just laugh at me. So you know, but it's all about the environment you're in, I suppose.
Tactically, the manager that challenged you the most, and why? Not preparation, because preparation is one thing, but tactically, like, and I guess they can go hand in hand as well, but actually being on the field in a system that maybe you had to venture out of your comfort zone and go, shit, what am I doing here?
Mark Warburton was the manager at Rangers, and he came in with a DNA that he wanted to change the way that Rangers played, and it was great. However, at times teams knew exactly what we were doing, and it was a little bit forced, and he was never going to, you know, step away from that, and so it was at times where I felt I don't feel comfortable playing out right now, but I know that we have to do this. So that was a challenge, and especially under that pressure and under that environment, and you know, you got 50,000 fans screaming at you saying lump it, and you know, you're not allowed to. It's tough to absorb, but you know, we done so well under him, and listen, I've got so much respect and admiration for him. So you know, I was prepared to do anything that I was asked to do, but at times it was hard. I'll be honest with you, it was hard.
You come to California, Braden, Oliver. There's a project here that we had the opportunity to chat with them earlier this year. We chatted with both of them as well as Aaron and goal, and there's an idea of, in their mind, being a selling club. You are far from that. You are the person who gives them the opportunity to do that. You are the person who can help steer the club in the right direction, make sure that all the proper things are being done on the pitch, give guidance off the pitch, tactically help out. Walk me through what it's like a day in the life for you within this club.
Yeah, I mean, what you've just said there, I would definitely agree with. And, we've got some good characters in the group, myself, Harry, Roscoe, these boys have, we've played at a decent level, and we're just trying to give that knowledge and those years of experience to these younger guys, because again, they haven't been exposed to it, so at times they don't really know what's to be expected of. And I think the biggest thing for us right now is trying to find consistency as a team. We win, then we lose, we keep clean sheets, then we concede 3 games in a row. So right now it's consistency. And the younger players, listen, we understand our kind of role in the group, because to get the most out of the group, we have to try and help the young boys come through. And we haven't got a massive squad right now. We've had some bad injuries as well, so these young boys are getting chances. And the likes of Francis and Kobe, and the young lads, the Lopez, all those guys. It's about being the extra little 1%, 2% that they can get from themselves each day, and we trying to install that to them. It's not enough to just do enough on the pitch anymore, because everyone's doing their stuff at home, whether it's gym, whether it's technical sessions outside of the work. I don't know, whatever it might be. Everyone's doing more, so you need to keep up with that, and then make sure that we're trying to hammer that into them.
Rob, a couple more minutes, I'll get you out of here, brother. I'm curious for the club itself. When you said they came and watched you, obviously. When you were coming, did you have any idea that they were trying to establish a relationship with Rangers?
No, it was something that I heard through the grapevine, through my connections at Rangers, but it wasn't something that I was sort of involved in at all, or anything. I had anything that my move didn't come through that. But obviously, I can see the infrastructure in place. I can see the conveyor belt that's going to hopefully be there, and boys come here. So I see what they're doing, and it's obviously, to have Rangers alongside you is a giant. So it's a great connection there. So hopefully it blossoms even more.
I'm going to run through some of the names. You talked about Michael already. Danny's played back there with you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kevin Alston is a name that's floated around the United States for quite some time. Aiden in the midfield. You talked about Harry. Ugo up top. I mean, there are some pretty big names for the squad. I'm not being rude by not mentioning the other guys. I'm just trying to get through it for you.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. Biggest difference for you with this league and this football in the United States compared to what you've experienced in your life?
I get asked this a lot, and it's a tough question, because this is the only way I can describe it. There's a lot of talent here, individual talent. It's just, as a team, I don't know if it's because it's a lot different to the football back home, which it isn't as physical in terms of long balls going into your box and defending things, and people crashing in and looking for set pieces all the time. However, each team likes to build, it seems, and they also seem to play the right way, if that makes sense. It's not really balls going into channels and having to deal with seconds and scrappy football. So it's nice to see boys actually being comfortable on the ball and trying to play through the thirds, and then trying to, keep the ball on the ground at times. Obviously, the biggest thing, and this is throughout football, the biggest thing with playing against your elite strikers is you don't get a second on the ball, and that a mistake is a goal. Whereas here, I feel like you can't get away with it. Don't get me wrong, but they're not as clinical as back home.
There's a grey area.
Yeah, so especially as a defender, I try and obviously minimise anything. I always think worst case scenario. Even when we're attacking, I'm defending because I'm organising the counter. But I know that we're going to get chances. It's just putting them away. So that's the biggest thing I think in football. That's why the top boys get paid millions of pounds, because they take their chances. And the boys at the back, they don't give those opportunities to them.
Biggest, I don't want to say biggest. That's the wrong word to use. In your short time here, obviously, COVID has been such a pain in the ass for everybody in life in general, but affecting the footballing world, the amount of games you can play, the amount of travel to see things in the United States. In your experience so far, any player or club that you've looked at and kind of turned your head and gone, okay, I see it, I get it a little bit?
I'll be honest with you. I think LA Galaxy are probably the best team that I've played in terms of they look like they're a
They're
team
young
that
and they can play.
they can all play,
Yeah.
and you can tell that they've been around each other for years. You know, they
Yeah.
know off-ball movements.
Yep.
They've got that gel. They've got that glue in their middle. But I do think they're a good team. I'll be honest with you. I think they're as a footballing team. I think they're one of the best
Yeah.
that we've played.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting one. I said going into the back-to-back games. Let's see, prior to San Diego sack, and then you played two before that. Okay. I said going into those two games, I was like, if a team can manage two positive results, especially at least a win and a draw or a win and a win, you know, they could put a stranglehold on the group. But obviously, you guys just balanced each other out, and I think that's a testament to what you just said. Let's talk about the run in. I don't want to talk about the results against Sacramento Republic and San Diego. Let's move on from that. You guys only have one home game left. It's your next game. I'll be on the call for it this weekend against Las Vegas. Las Vegas, a team that's trying to wheel and deal, trying to figure things out. And then you go on the road 3 games, Phoenix, Los Angeles Galaxy 2, and then Vegas to finish it off. 4 games left. What's going through the thoughts and through the dressing room right now?
It's 4 cup finals. It's 4. Yeah. Leave everything out there, boys. You know, boys have got niggles. Boys have got playing for a bit of a pain barrier, and that's what it is right now. You know, so we've had a lot of games, and it's been condensed because of all this COVID stuff. But it's 4 cup finals to see where we can see if we can do this. You know, and then there's belief there, there's hunger there. Everyone's frustrated. We're not getting results, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna moan about it, or we're gonna just regroup and go out there and give everything each time we're on the pitch. You know, and that's all we can do.
Well, considering based on appearances, if I'm not mistaken, you have in your dresser, drawer, closet, trophy case, whatever you want to call. You do have an FA Cup and a Scottish Championship medal, yes?
Yes.
It's not bad, huh?
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, good for you. Ambitions going forward. Your playing career at some point in time, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, what do you want to do?
We all have a sell-by date, and I'm not naive enough to think that isn't going to be on the horizon at some point. However, I'm 29 and I feel great. You know, I've gone through my injury years, and I think I could play for many years, especially in the position I'm in. So, eventually, I'd love to be here long term. Me, myself, and Harry, we're building a coaching academy here for the guys local to Orange County, and so far we've had a real positive, feedback from it, and we're growing. We've got things online now, and we're just going to see where it takes us. We've had a good career in terms of an English CV, and I think that's quite respected here in terms of, you guys have kind of been there and done it, especially in Europe. I think, guys give you that little bit of respect. So we're just trying to just build that, and then hopefully one day when I have to put those boots away, whenever that will be, I can transition to something smoothly, because I think the biggest thing for footballers, especially back home, is not having anything to transition into and then you're lost. And we've done a lot of homework. The boys that go through divorces and suicidal thoughts and depression, because they don't have that infrastructure around them and they don't know what they're doing. So if you can build that now, and I harp on it about a lot, but building now will help you in the long run. So that's what we're trying to do. Just keep, listen, my main focus is to play football, but I have one eye on the future, and what will be.
Rob, you're building that academy. Building the academy and being a coach of a squad are two different things. Do you have a preference?
For me, I think being an academy, being neutral to a club and just developing players to then feed them onto clubs is kind of what I think would be more suited to me, as opposed to being a coach and being out in 3 months when results haven't gone well for you. That's, for me, is something that I've really struggled with, because my whole life I've been moving around. And I think when I hang the boots up from playing, I think I don't want to be in that field anymore, where I'm being told, you're going here, and then I'm sorry, the chairman's released you of your duties. And I think I'd rather be somewhere where I can go and feed players to these clubs.
Perfect. No, I respect that. I got one more kid for you, a couple questions, and then we'll go.
What's next?
I'll have the missus pick that up. She knows what she's supposed to do. Oh, she's right here. There she is. Oh, I have to be quiet because the kid's sleeping. Why don't you come tell them? You can tell them. It's fine. Don't be shy.
Yeah, I can be on mute.
Oh, she's shy. She's shy. So this team, again, another team in the Western Conference. This is what you would know as Tacoma Defiance. It's the youngsters from the Seattle Sounders. S2, that's what they used to be called. I just like the kit. I think it's proper. I like the way it feels. It's nice. And again, I got to pay respect to the Western Conference.
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. So we've kind of encompassed everything. I want to know, is there anything that you regret in your career? We talked about maybe not making a move here or there, but is there anything that you regret personally outside of like switching a team maybe?
I can't say that I regret because at the time it was always the right decision. I never made a wrong decision at the time. It was, your gut always tells you something, and I normally go with that. No, I don't. I don't have regrets. I don't have regrets.
Not even not knowing who those 4 or 5 kids running around England are?
Yeah, I mean, we'll leave that for a DNA test maybe on live TV one day. But no, listen, I don't have regrets, and I don't. Listen, hindsight's a great thing. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But at the time, you always make the best decision of whatever circumstances are in front of you, and I think I did that. So, looking back, listen, there were things that didn't go to plan, didn't go well, but at the time, they were the right decisions for me.
Got you. Let's do some true and false, and we'll get you out of here. Deal?
Let's do it.
True and false. Aiden Quinn has the best hair on the team.
No, he doesn't.
It's got to be a false. It's terrible, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have the best team.
No, is he look? Have you ever seen him with a shaved head?
Yes, I have.
So much better, right? He needs to go back to that.
Yeah. I think a few of the boys have got the quarantine hair, and I'm thinking they should go and get a skin fade.
Right. Little high and tight. A little uptown fade. It's not that difficult. And to be fair, I don't know. So tell me this: in the States, it was like this. Was it like this overseas? We always had one person, whether it was at school or a club, that could always cut hair.
Oh yeah.
Right? You guys don't have that there?
No, I mean, we went to Costco and we bought our clippers and we were giving it a right go. And I'll be honest with you, at the start we were terrible, but we've actually upped it a little bit.
Who are the barbers? You?
I mean, it's acceptable. It's not good, but you could walk down the road and be like, that's not bad.
Is it you, or is it like it's a joint venture?
Myself and a few of the boys in the players' apartments, they've had a right go. They're taking it seriously. They've got razor blades, they've got mirrors. They're having a right go.
All right. So your personality is pretty outgoing. Remove yourself from this question. Who's the most outgoing or funniest player on the team?
Do you know what? Freddie makes me laugh. He's a big Viking at the back, and he's just so angry all the time. But I buzz off it a little bit. I do think he's funny.
Interesting.
He's just angry. And I enjoy that.
The Danish. They're like that.
I enjoy that. Yeah.
They just scream and yell at you, right?
Yeah.
They're conquering another world.
Randomly, you're just chilling and eating lunch, and next minute he's screaming at someone, and it's just it is entertaining. I'll be honest.
Let's call someone out here. Who's the pest? Who's the one that in practice always pisses you off? Not you or the team. That's he's the annoying player. You love him because he's a little brother, but he's just always right there. There's always at least one.
Yeah,
you won't hurt any feelings. Don't worry.
No, I'm not worried about their feelings. They're all fixed in. I'm just saying who's annoying. I'll tell you what. Me and little Danny Finlayson. He's a good lad. But we have a little bit of friendly banter all the time, and he's always telling me that something's wrong, or I don't look good, or my boot's wrong, or he's always coming for me. And I just say, listen, mate, you come here and you still haven't got a tan. You still look like that wall. So I don't know why you're coming for me. So you go back to Scotland and you still look like Tipex, so I'm not really bothered what you think.
Best story we've gotten out of Braden about some of the boys coming over from Rangers has been Cammy Palmer, and he says that he said he was the whitest person he'd ever met, and that had nothing to do with demeanor. It was totally skin tone, and that now he said he glows in the dark because he picked up this tan. All of a sudden, you can pick him up like that because he was red. And
they have to go back to Scotland with a tan. I can't let them go home without a tan.
Absolutely not. Yeah, that'd be wrong. Describe to me Sean O'Coley, Ugo. Describe to me him in 2 or 3 words.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude, and he's humble, and he's hardworking, and he's hungry. So I've got nothing but good words to say about him.
Interesting. Out of all the young boys, that could be Aaron. You talked about Danny. I just brought up Cammy. Any of the young boys that you maybe look at a little bit more than normal and go, there's something there, or is there a little bit in all of them?
Kobe and Francis.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. And he's the youngest of them all, right?
They're young, they're babies, but they're playing with men, and they're coping, and they're doing well, and they're finding their feet, and they're comfortable, and they're growing, and they're coming out of their shell a little bit. So they get a little bit more of a under the wing treatment, a little bit, from from myself. And
Francis is going to be somewhere up your area where he's like, what, 4 or 5 years ahead of his age, right? I mean, obviously professional level, but I think he's 15, isn't he?
He's 15 years old. He's got a physique of a man, and he's scary good for his age. And he will be, if he's developed correctly and given the right opportunities at the right times, then he will have a career in football for sure.
Amazing. I love that. Anything that I never even do this, by the way. I normally just say, and this is censored, so it's fine, so I can say it. I normally just say fuck off, and we'll say goodbye. Right. Anything that you want to ask us, or anything that we didn't bring out that you want people to know about?
No, listen, I've actually really enjoyed it. It's been great. When I get asked to do these things, I think it's a great way for us footballers to maybe get our personalities across, because I think sometimes you're just seen as a robot, and it's nice sometimes just these Zooms and these podcasts. It's a great way for us to have a chat just as normal people, So I really enjoy them.
Well, just so you know, the only reason I ever let anybody come on this is because I'm usually the person that's better looking than everybody else. So I'm happy to do it. You can understand that, right?
Yeah. I'm in awe right now.
Rob, we are beyond grateful for you, brother. Hey, thank you for the time, first and foremost. We love watching you play. We think you do wondrous things on the pitch. We can't wait to see your run in, and best of luck down the stretch, yeah?
Top man. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, bud.